What's going on, guys? This is Travis with Green Valley Anglers, back with another video for you. What if you were stranded on a desert island and you had one lure to choose from to try to catch those bass? Now, I don't know if there's going to be bass ponds on a desert island. If there was, this is the lure that you would want to have. Ready? Let's go. The legendary 5-inch Yamamoto Senko. How many of you already knew that? This guy right here is responsible for so many fish catches. I think that's been the one lure that has caught more bass than any other lure on the planet. So let's dive in to why this simple stick of plastic has become the most popular lure of all time. The history of the Senko. The Senko was born from the mind of Gary Yamamoto in the early 90s. It wasn't just another soft plastic, though. It revolutionized bass fishing. It has a unique salt-infused formula. It gives it a natural sink rate. If you've seen underwater shots of it, you can see how it shimmies and shakes underneath the water without you having to do anything on the other end. It has a lifelike action that the bass just can't resist. He originally designed it for finesse fishing in Lake Powell, but it spread like wildfire once people started catching wind of it, turning it into a staple for bass anglers everywhere. It's said that the Senko has caught more bass than any other lure in history. Rigging techniques. There's many different ways to rig this bad boy. You can wacky rig it. That's easiest and often the most effective. You just hook the Senko through the middle. Use a wacky hook or an O-ring for longevity to help keep that plastic from getting ripped up. Without an O-ring or something like that, I mean, you're lucky to catch, 2 or 3 bass without having that Senko rip off your hook. And this setup gives the worm an awesome up and down action on the fall. It's perfect for finicky bass. Also, if you have youngsters fishing, it's really the easiest way. They just got to toss it out, let it do its thing. The bass are going to smash it if you're in the right spot. You could Texas rig it. It's good for fishing through cover. Hook the Senko through the nose and bury the hook into the middle of the bait. Helps keep it weedless. You can put a bullet weight on the front, add some weight, give it that nose down appearance, the tail sticking up. It's really ideal for when bass are hiding in vegetation or in any kind of cover to help you get in and out of there without getting hung up. Under docks is a pretty good spot for it too. Rigging it weightless for the shallow water when bass are chasing top water even. There is a couple pros out there that love fishing it right across the top and actually fish it pretty quickly to mimic a school of shad, and the bass can bust on the top and blow those suckers up. You can hook the Senko weightlessly through the nose or wacky style for a subtle natural action. It's great for early morning or late evening bites, or when the water's really clear too. Neko rig, now that's one of my personal favorites. It's a finesse technique where you insert a little weight, more often than not a little nail weight into the nose, and you hook it through the middle of the bait. It's good to use an O-ring for this as well. It allows the Senko to stand up off the bottom, kind of mimics something feeding on the bottom or maybe even a crawfish, but just something bouncing around on the bottom, sticking up. Good for clear water usage. Just kill it with the clear water with a Neko rig in my local pond. Drop shots as well. Drop shotting, and it's, you don't really think about that, drop shotting Senkos, but you use an owner weedless drop shot hook. Awesome to use through cover, through wood, rocks, what have you. You can really stand it up and bounce it there. You can do a drop shot wacky rig, which is a pretty good deal too. So you can just sit in place with your wacky rig and bounce that thing up and down. And that could be really effective for when bass have gotten very selective and very finicky. So when you want to use each one of these rigging techniques, for the wacky rig, it's best in clear water when bass are less aggressive. It's a subtle presentation, so you want to use it when you need to entice a bite from lethargic fish. It's also good when they're aggressive too. The Texas rig. So when bass are in heavy cover, you're fishing around structures like submerged trees or thick grass. When you're fishing it weightless, use it on top water when you see bass blowing up. You see them swirling around the surface. That's a good spot to throw that thing weightless. Neko rig for those days when the bass are finicky, especially in clear water, or when they're not aggressively feeding, and then drop shot. When bass are not directly on the bottom, but they're hanging out kind of towards those mid depths or near the bottom. It's good for vertical fishing, deeper water, around ledges and through that cover if you're going to use the weedless variety, as I mentioned before. Tackle requirements. So you can use various types of rod setups. I use a spinning reel for most of my Senko presentations, although I do throw a power shot with a pretty heavy flipping stick with a 6-inch Senko. But basically a medium to medium light action spinning or casting rod for finesse techniques. Something going to be a little bit more sensitive for you so you can feel those subtle bites. And you can use a spinning reel for most techniques because it's more finessey. But a bait caster for Texas rigs and cover also works pretty well. Line. There we go. Fluorocarbon for its invisibility and sinking properties. 6 to 10 pound test for finesse. 12 to 15, maybe even 20 sometimes if you're going to Texas rig and get into that thick stuff. I personally like using a braid to leader myself on both setups. I'll use usually about a 10-pound braid to an 8-pound floral leader on my spinning setups. And on my power shot, I use a 50-pound braid to a 20-pound floral leader. Hooks, so there's a variety of different hooks. It depends on what style you're going for. There's specific wacky hooks out there that you can use for the wacky rigging. There's specific Neko hooks, although I believe the Neko and the wacky can be pretty interchangeable, but there's some slight variations to those. And then there's obviously the Texas rig hooks that you can use. So let's talk about how the bass see that Senko. So when you're dropping it in front of their face, what are the bass thinking? The Senko is soft and has a salty composition, which mimics the feel and taste of natural prey like worms, leeches, even small fish. Its natural fall and subtle action on the retrieve make it look like an easy meal. Bass are going to interpret this as a vulnerable prey, which triggers a predatory response. They want something easy. They want something that they don't have to work too hard to get without expending too much energy. So what do you guys think about these bad boys? One of the most popular ones on the planet for a reason. If you're stuck on an island or just have to choose one lure, the 5-inch Senko is your best bet. Its versatility, effectiveness, and the sheer number of ways you can fish it make it an ultimate survival tool for bass fishing. The most popular color out there is definitely going to be the green pumpkin. I like the green pumpkin, black flake personally, the green pumpkin, red flake, June bug is really good. And I also like the shad pattern, which works well in clear water. Just remember, the key to success with the Senko isn't just the rig, but how you present it, and then also finding the bass, which is the number one key for everything. Slow it down, let it fall naturally. Watch that magic happen. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Whether you're fishing in the wilderness or your local pond, this lure is going to serve you well. If you found this video helpful, I'd appreciate you supporting the channel. Until next time, tight lines, B's and G's.